Okay, so let me move back. And today we are going to work on, the first segment is going to be glute maximus, medius, and minimus. There's three groups of muscles, and there's more than that in our infamous bottom. And very often they get glued together, stuck together. They can impinge the hip socket massively, and they can shrink and atrophy, and they can drop down. The syndrome of older people is have a dropped bum. It basically means everything's got glued together and started to pull downwards, and it's not very helpful or useful, but they're very important for good posture, energy in the legs, and a youthfulness about the whole way the body functions. That's a very fast runway of just how valuable they are. And any kind of hip degeneration is a result in part of those muscles slamming the joint too deeply into the socket, so it doesn't have room to move and it starts to break down. So rather than replace the socket, let's get the bone back out so we can heal and repair and regenerate, which is very much what our body always wants to do. It wants to repair itself. It wants to I mean, if you cut yourself, you repair. So it's really, really, really an option. So welcome the new people, whoever you are. I would recommend mostly to have the black balls, or Sarah, for you, the bigger yoga tune-up balls. And this one, we may get into this one, I'm not sure. For those of you with the Yamana ball, how strong a ball or soft a ball it is, you will need to experiment, because you want, in an ideal muscle texture, you want to be able to sink all the way through to the bone. Eventually, that's a healthy muscle texture, because you've broken up all the adhesions and calcification. En route to that place, sometimes a very strong ball doesn't allow you to relax or discover the holding pattern, so the cells get the tissue releases. So you just pace yourself, you figure it out. If you need to take a quick break and get the pump and deflate, do so. I often find that I get better release on a softer ball. But it's all good, and it's not rocket science. It's just a matter of experimentation. So the first muscle we're going to work is the glute maximus, the big one, the one that covers. It's the one that you see, because the other ones are kind of hidden underneath. So what we will be rolling out, if you were to put your hands on your own pelvic structure, the bony part up here, you want to feel just below the top. It's kind of a little ledge. And if you have a lot of weight there, don't worry, it doesn't matter if you're not exactly right, or if you can't feel your bones, get a sense of where your waist is, and just below the waist is the beginning. So the first place we're going for is, and then we have our sacrum here. So we're going to go to the top, find that top little area and sink into it, and let it kind of decompress the bone and where the muscle is inserted. And then we very slowly will be rolling down. It connects in to your greater trochanter. Wait a minute. No, I'm sorry. It connects into here. I'm so sorry. Nope, greater trochanter. So you will be rolling outwards, all the way out, all the way out, all the way out, and onto that lumpy part of the bone and just below it. That's why it's so useful for hip movement. That's roll number one. Then we'll go roll number two, connecting lower. So we're cradled into our sacrum at the higher part. We're going to press a little bit out to separate and lengthen the tendons. This is great for sciatica. And slowly start to roll out. Again, same location. And then we go to the bottom of the sacrum, separate it out. In other words, we push the muscle of the bottom away from the sacrum and then roll it out to the bulging part of your thigh and just below it, because it hooks onto the bone as its final where it's attaching. So let's get started. So if you sit up and you get this ball close to your pelvic structure, then lean back and roll it just forward. So you want to feel your sacrum and the pelvis structure. You roll a little bit down. I'm bringing my bottom that way, so it's rolling up, and I'm finding where the top of my pelvis is. The bony structure, if you're not sure, it's good. Pressure into the body is good. Even if you're not exactly in the right place, lots of benefit. So you want to really press into the ball if you have a ball that can have a give. So I'm actually using my stomach a little bit. And in this position, let's take a deep breath in and imagine sending the breath into the ball. So big breath in. And as we breathe out, press and sink, and also attempt to relax a little bit. See if you can get a sense of separating. And I'm very slightly leaning into the ball, imagining it pulling away from the top of the pelvis, the muscles lengthening, I should say, and releasing tightness. Again, breathing in and breathing out and opening out that area, feeling it decompress a little bit. And one more time, breathing in, pressing into that part, the top of the sacrum, top of the pelvis, close to it, and breathing out, pressing in. Then from here, rolling down a little bit with pressure into the ball in the area. So it's a diagonal. So I'm starting to lean. Now I'm also leaning a little bit more into the pressure of the ball. Attempting to relax. Now, when you hit those pockets that it's really painful, just pay attention and attempt to stop resisting it or lighten up. So if it's painful, this is the technique. When you breathe in, you send air into that area, but you lift up, and as you breathe out, you slowly lower down and attempt to figure out what's holding and how you can release all of that. Breathe in and breathe out and sink a little bit deeper. One more time, breathing in and breathing out and sinking even more in. Now I'm rolling a little bit more out on a diagonal, so I'm like crossing over the texture of the bottom towards the outside, just an inch or two. And again, big breath in, breathing out, sinking, letting the glutes soften and all those layers soften, because there's more than one muscle, but we're tracking the first one right now. Breathing in. Breathing out, sinking a little bit deeper. And one more time, breathing in. And breathing out, sinking, pressing in, looking to get all of that congestion moving out. And then go a little bit further. Now I'm starting to roll onto my side. And I'm pressing into the ball as I go. So let's pause here, on a diagonal, almost on the side. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in now, because your contraction, can you feel yourself pulling your body away from the ball? And if you want to, you lengthen the leg away from the ball. So you're starting to create even more stretch, really, and opening and lengthening in the muscle tissue and widening the muscle. We want wide, glutes not gripped together. That's sciatica and restriction and hip problems. Now we will roll onto our side, and you should be just above the bone. So just see if you can get to that sense that you're on the side, very fibrous area. And breathing in and breathing out. See if you can push into the ball and soften it. And again, breathing in. Breathing out, pressing into that ball. One more time, I keep my hand out of the way. Breathing in. breathing out. And now on the side, the leg is down there. See if you can push into the top of that bone. It's like you're trying to grab it and push it downwards. You're trying to get it low in the socket. Nothing, you can't get that concept just right there. It can be quite sensitive and useful. You're stimulating your bone. You're decongesting a lot of blockages. And now slowly start, again, imagine pushing the bone down, the leg and the bone leg down. Roll over it. That's where the softer balls are more useful. You roll over the lump, right below the lump, into that area where the IT band starts. Another infamous area, but this is the beginnings of what will release your IT band. Wonderful. Come on down. And then our next version is glute medius. So now let's start right up high. Yeah, I'll just talk you through it. I won't demo first. You want to find the top. You know where you have a bulging hip, and then right at the top of the pelvis. So you want to kind of feel where you're going to fall off the pelvis into your waist area. Get on top of it. So now you're on the bony structure. Feel the pressure in, and now go a microscopic amount backwards. So you're kind of right in there. You're dropped into kind of between the bone and your bottom, per se. So that's where the insertion or the beginning of the muscle is. This is where it connects in strongly to the bone. So again, breath in, send the breath into that area, lots of space, lots of opening, and then as you breathe out, sink and press into that area. If it's too much to press, just relax. So breathe in, and then breathe out, and see if you can release. Get in touch with whatever's going on in your own body. See if you can let go of it a little bit. Breathe in. Breathe out. So here we go. We're going to roll down a little bit. That's it. So you're pressing down. You're heading towards that bone. Let's pause right here. Breathe in. So I'm in this area. So I'm kind of, if I was to stand about here, breathing out, pressing in. I can feel the ball pushing my glute area backwards away from the bone. Breathing in. Breathing out. And again, breathing in. Breathing out. I think Charlene isn't muted, so every time she goes, she has a deep breath, the camera grabs her. So go down, see if you can feel, and that's fine, Charlene, don't worry about it. You'll see if you can start to feel where it's hitting into the top of your thigh bone. Now, here's an opportunity. It's anchoring that bone down. And then you lengthen away from it. So you're trying to make all of that line even longer. Just kind of get that length when you do the breath. As you breathe out, sink in. And again, breathe in. And breathe out. Sink even deeper if you're able to. And now roll over into the bone. So you're in the bulging part. If you can stay there, if it's not too harsh, see if you can take a breath in and pull away. So the bone is being pushed down and you're being lengthened up, and then roll as you breathe out. See if you can roll over the bone again. And again, lengthen out that very top area. This is the beginning of your IT band area that we all complain about, but there's more to it than that. And come off. That was great. So now, again, we'll start up high, actually on our side. I'm going to move down a little bit more. So you're on your side, and it's an even deeper muscle. You go a little bit lower down. So I know it seems like we're repeating ourselves, but we're tracking the line of the muscle, and in time, you literally can feel the layers. When we start to get into the minimus place, it's a more strong, hard, fibrous muscle. By the way, these are the muscles that keep the pelvis balanced. So if you have one hip higher or lower, or one leg that doesn't move the same as the other, very much about this. So let's take that leg and make it long. So we lower down, and now we roll a tiny bit forward, microscopically bit forward. So we're more in the forward part of the side pelvis. Big breath in. Sometimes I lift up and lengthen, and breathing out, really press into that area. And we'll just add a little something where you're going to rock a little bit forward, pressing into the ball. And rock just a little bit back. Notice the sensations. All of this is what's going on. This is your body. This is your journey. It becomes fascinating if you just kind of really, really, really get in touch. Areas that have a little bit more talking to you. Areas that need a little bit of love. They've been kind of squished up and on a holding rigid way, trying to save you from falling or holding you together or who knows what, but they have their story. You want to say thank you to them. You don't have to work so hard anymore. And then slightly forward, again, press down just above the bone. Big breath in. Breath out, sink into it as best you can. Lengthen the leg away. Breathe in. Breathe out, sink and press. And here we go. You're going to roll over that bone a little, slightly bit more forward and into the top of the IT band. Very good. And then roll off. So you did all three. And just lie out on your back for a minute and see what the leg looks like, feels like. See how your bottom feels like. See how the pelvis feels like. Sometimes just this can align the knees so much better and set up so much more freedom of movement. My pelvis instantly gets longer because it's not gripped up and holding, and then roll the feet in and out just for a minute to check how that's affecting. The work is affect the legs roll. And come on up, we're doing the other side. So here we go. You want to find yourself leaning back, and you want to find right where the sacrum has ended and you're in the top of the pelvis, glute maximus. We're going into where it rides the top, just below the bone, where the bone ends, and you're also slightly in touch with your waist, with the sacrum, I'm sorry. Remember, the ball is going to go out the side and down towards where the bone bulges out here. So here we go. You want to think of breathing in. Don't think, breathe. Press into the ball, put pressure into it, and as you breathe out, use your intention and slight juggling of the body to imagine pushing the tissue right up high there away from the bones. Breathe in. And breathe out and press in and kind of, I gently move my bottom to away from the ball so I can feel the pressure. The ball's grabbing my flesh and pushing it out. Just enough. Again, if it's very extreme, you don't do that. You pace the sensation. You want to have a loving relationship with your body. You will get such reward. So you pace how intense you make it. No pain, no gain is not exactly oversimplification. So here we go. You're pressing in and you want to roll down and a slight diagonal outwards. You're pressing and lengthening that muscle. Breathe in. You're really separating the fibers a little bit. They got to glue together. They got to stop. They got to sometimes atrophy. Press out and sink into the ball. Breathe in. Lengthen. Breathe out and press. My back just cracked, so something's letting go. Mm-hmm. And again, breathing in. Big breath in into that place, breathing out. See if you can sink a little bit more or press a little bit more, relax a little bit more, or maybe just rest a little bit more. Stop fighting it. It's whatever your body needs. Now, roll a little bit further out. So now you're kind of on this diagonal, not on your back, not on your side, the corner area maybe. Breath in. Breath out. I'm going to stretch my leg out to get more length in the muscles. Breath in. Breath out. Yes, I can feel some things nicely separating for me. I hope you have some nice story coming up. Breath in. Breath out. And now dragging yourself more onto the side. So you're starting to roll through that tissue. Let's just go about 3/4 diagonal. You're not exactly on the side yet. You're on the outskirts of your glute. Breath in. Breath out, sinking and pressing into the ball. Oh, I can feel my glutes shifting. Breathing in. Breathing out. Pressing in. One more time. Breathing in. Breathing out. Very nice. Now, roll more onto the side. So you're coming right on top. That's more fibrous area just above the bone. Bone is long and will just stimulate and loosen up that area. Breathing in, lengthening, and breathing out, sinking into the ball. Breathing in, breathing out, pressing and sinking into the ball. And one more time, breathing in and breathing out. And now really push down. See, you can get a sense of pressing that leg, the bone away from you, sinking into the ball as best you can, and slowly roll over the bone into the side of your leg. That's where that glute maximus attaches, and roll off. Sometimes as you do this work, a lot of heat can be released because you're getting all this circulation coming back and blood flowing into areas that maybe have adhesions and stuckness. So now we will start on the side. So you just want to find the top. Here is kind of the bulging part of the bone in the front of your pelvis. So you want to be about there. And then rock a little bit backwards. So you're just back, you're cradled in the structure, kind of in the area where your glutes start, but it's a little bit lower down because it's a little bit here before we were right up at the waist. So we're doing glute medius. Breath in, breath out, sink into the ball. Oh, yes, breathing in. Even if it seems like it's the same place you just visited, just see if you're able to go a little deeper now. Maybe you can get in touch with a slightly different sensation and a different texture of the muscle, because you can go through one muscle into the next muscle. One more time, breathing in. See if you're relaxing your buttocks. It's sometimes impulsive to grip them, and then roll down a little bit and sink even deeper into this area. Breathing in. Breathing out, imagine the leg lengthening away from you. When you breathe in, see if you can pull away from that area. And out, we want nice, long, lifted, open, mobile hips. Breathing out. One more time, breathing in. Breathing out. And now slowly roll into the side of the pelvis, right into that area where the bony structure is. Keep lengthening, and then very slowly roll over the bone into the top of the thigh. And again, lengthen it out a little bit and roll off. Very good. And the medius part, we're going to go back on our sides a little bit lower down. So remember, now we have this bulging hip bone area just below it. So again, they're locked and it's lower. Breathing in, roll a little bit so you have that traction. And as you hold this position, just go back and forth. It's much more fibrous, much more dense here. It's a very, very strong muscle to keep the hips stable. Now, some of the things that create weakness, both in these muscles and rotators, is feet turned out, pelvis being thrust forward, and also the feet wide or standing into one hip a lot. So all of these can create an atrophying and an imbalance in both the glutes and the rotator muscles, which we're going to do in a little bit. And what happens is that then the hip or both hips can get jammed, stuck, and then when the body's not in the right place, it starts to build up calcification of one kind or another. It can be, arthritis can literally create a situation where the joints just rigidify. And a lot of it is because the body's trying to freeze up an area that's not in the right place, so it doesn't break down. So it's like fire and frying pan. So we want to avoid all of that or undo the beginning journey of that with this work so we can be vibrant, alive, and young for the rest of our lives. Then keep moving down. So you're right before the bone or right on top of the bone if you have a mushy ball that you can work with. Breathing in, breathing out, sinking into the ball as much as you can. Breathing in. What you do with your legs, your call, but it's nice to have the leg you're working, the side you're working on in a straight line. And now let's slowly pull yourself forward. You roll over the ball. Lengthen out the side of the thigh. Just feel that area lengthening and roll off. And lie down on your back and compare notes for yourself. What do your legs feel like? How does your pelvis feel? Interestingly enough, for me, my patterns are to get a very arched back at this point in my life. And this allows my spine to sink in my pelvis to get longer and my hips to more easily rotate. It frees up something that's going on in my body that's trying to solve some kind of problem. So I'm hoping this work definitely helps me and relieves a lot of back tightness that I accumulate. And I'm very grateful for it because I do spend quite a bit of time in front of a computer these days, and that's part of the consequences of that. So that was your glute pattern. Now the glutes can get attached into your sit bones and also into what's called the rotator muscle. The glutes have a lot of factor in being able to take the legs out and in, and also just create stability. The rotator muscles rotate the bone in the socket. Now the socket's too tight, they atrophy. And they're a smaller muscle, but a very, very important muscle to get into. And actually there's 6 of them, and 5 of them, you see I'm learning anatomy, 5 of them go from your sit bone to the thigh bone top, the greater trochanters, and those are the ones we're going to work on right now. So the sit bone again is that bony bone at the base of the pelvis going out to here. So all 6 have various variations of this. We're going to do one sequence that more or less gets into all of them. So here we are. The first thing we're going to do is get onto the sit bone. So we want this sit bone really pressing down. So we just feel how we're going down into it. And maybe, just maybe, because we've been dealing with the glutes now, you can feel more how you can lift up. In fact, I would invite you just for a minute to come off your ball, grab your own butt, pull the flesh up and back because we want our butt lifted, and then see if you can get this ball on the bone. Also, before you roll up on it, can you push the bone out, away from the middle, so you're making more space? And that's again where the slightly mushy ball, you can actually, I can take my body, and now that I've got the ball hooked, I push in, and then I move my other buttock away, and it's stretching and widening the pelvic floor and the space between those bones, essential for strong, lifted, stable pelvic structure and pelvic floor. So people do Kegel exercises, I'm not against them at all, but that platform needs to be wide. What happens, the bones sink in together and then there's no room for the fibrous tissue, and it just sags like a hammock. So we're taking the two poles, we're pulling them back, bam, they're nice and wide again. Then we have a better base. So come up onto this side. So you're into the sit bone. You really want to push down if you can. If you have a soft enough ball, it's nice to have that sense of sinking. If it's harsh, you just do the best you can. So big breath in. And as you breathe out, see if you can sink into the ball and just stimulate that bone, because the bones really, it starts to wake up the message into the tendons and muscles. Again, breathing in. Breathing out, sink into the ball and feel the pressure. Maybe you're starting to feel some separation all around the bone. If you can, that's awesome. Breathing in, breathing out. And now this is the fun part. You're going to bring your knees and your feet together and as best you can. And now you roll a little bit onto the side. See if you can roll off the bone onto the side. Just for a minute, it's pushing all the glutes, the low part of the glutes out, away from the bone. See if you can sink into it. Take a breath in. Breathing out, sink and press, so just soften. Breathing in. Breathing out, sink and soften. One more time, breathing in. And breathing out. Now see if you can drop this knee. I've got some hip stuff going on, so the knee doesn't get to the floor. See if you can drop this knee to the floor and bring the other knee up. So you're really, if you want to, you can lean out more. I'm finding I get deeper right there, and I can feel all the heat coming in as I'm breaking up stuff. Now, breathe in, lift the knee, sink into that area, and breathe out, sink. And again, let the knee drop. Breathe in. Relax that part of your bottom. And as you breathe out, see if you can soften the knee. You're taking the hip joint area, you're starting to create more space for the bone to move. And again, breathe in. Hold it there, press into the ball, breathe out. Roll a little bit more onto your side in the direction of the bulging bone. So we're kind of right down there at the bottom, close to this area. Lift both knees up, sink into the ball. If you want to, you can even be like this, whatever works for you. Breathe in. Breathe out. Let this knee drop open. Try to relax the socket. We're going right over and around the socket area, and we're releasing. Oh, my knee is dropping so much further now. This feels delicious. Breathe in. Pushing into the ball. See if you can make the ball go even deeper into all of that tissue, releasing all of that tightness in there. Breathe out. And this is going to really wake up the muscles. The amazing thing about this is that the muscles fire much better. They kind of come back to life and they get their job back. Breathe in, because they have a job, because you're opening up the socket, and they can actually do something with that bone in the way we are designed to be. Breathing out. Let yourself drop that knee. Whoa, the joint is opening nicely. Then come up, roll even further onto your side, pushing the bone a little bit, but you're just above it. Just into that area, and see if you can drop the knee down. Lift your knee up on an inhale. Pressing, oh yeah, just felt another area let go. This is awesome. Breathing out, letting the knee drop. See if you can start to really get in touch with what's happening in your joints. And breathing in. Press the knee up. The more you can bring the knees up, you really create a lot of space there. But you work what you got going for you. It's your body, your range of movement today. And breathe out. Really sink into that area. Opening the joint. Now bring your knee up and go even a little bit further over. So you're right about behind and into that bony structure. And this will be our last one. We're getting into the attachments. You're kind of pushing the bone down and forward, lifting the knee up. Inhale. Breathing out. Let the leg drop. Breathing in. Pressing the knee up. These are very key for internal, external rotation of the legs. We should have even range of movement between inside and outside. The joint should be able to go in all directions. Many of us don't have it. Interestingly enough, from a child, I never had any internal rotation. Says a lot about something. I don't know what, and I don't care. But I literally only had floppy open legs. And over time, that created a lot of, I didn't understand it at the time, but that's why I had certain injuries, because I had such massive imbalances in my glutes and in my hips. And it's very exciting that at my age now, after all of those injuries, I'm actually able to go in and create a brand new body for myself and breathe out. That's really the best longevity, anti-aging you can imagine. And once you know what to do, you're doing it. You're not playing any surgeon, expert, cream, formula, shots, anything. It's you. So here we are. Just sit up for a minute and see what it's like. If there's a difference between one leg and the other, just flop your legs around. See what it's like. Now let's take the ball and we are going to start out. So here we go again. You roll to one side, you grab the flesh of your butt sideways and maybe a little back, and then see if you can get that sit bone on the ball. And remember, you're trying to push the ball this way, away. So you're almost like widening your butt crease. How about that? And kind of maneuver the other side away. And now see if you can. So here you are, you're sitting and attempting to imagine that ball, the bone, straight down into the ball and the body straight up. And notice how nice and high your own glutes are and how much this sit bone is being pulled away from your hamstrings. So lots of cool stuff happening that are in the direction of more freedom in our bodies. So big breath in. Breathing out, sink into the ball. Put pressure down, but don't collapse unless it's really hard for you to be upright. So there's this fine line. For some of us, maybe there's other areas that are still very tight, and maybe it's easier to get pressure if we do this. Do it then. Do it. It's you want to get, the most important thing is where you're making contact with the ball. And for some of us, maybe we have more mobility and flexibility. We're working at these things longer. We can keep upright and still get pressured out. So choose your shape. It's all good. There's no wrong way to do this. Now, roll just a little bit off to the side. So moving my bottom away from the ball, and I'm right at the entrance. I'm pulling the flesh away from the bone and in kind of your low glute area. So sinking into this point, breathing in, separating those butt muscles away from the tailbone really and all that area there. Breathing in. More importantly, pulling away from the sit bone. One more time, breathing in, breathing out. And now this will be our first pattern. We let the knee drop. This side is easier for me, less injuries in the right side. See, relax into the ball as much as you can, breathing in. Lift the knee and see if you can put pressure into the ball, if you have that option. And breathing out, see if you can relax and sink and open that tissue up. Open out those rotator muscles. Breathing in. Lifting the knees up. Breathing out. So keep on going. As you become familiar with these routines, by the way, if one side is very different from the other, for example, my left side is much tighter than my right side, I do more of this routine on the left side to help it catch up with the right side. So I'm aspiring always to make both sides of the body more even, and it actually is very doable. That's what's so cool. Yes, really sinking in, and then breathing in, feeling the pressure into the ball, and now rolling a little bit more out. It's maybe 1/2 inch to 1 inch. You're getting right into that socket, and you're kind of going around your joint. So let's drop the knee out, relax into all of that tissue, softening and opening the joint. Literally imagine your bones starting to float in the socket. Breathing in. This will tend to tighten things. See if you can really, really, really press down, encourage the tissue to let go of whatever old program it had and restore its function. Breathing out. Breathing in. You're getting a lot of heat. I'm getting a lot of heat. That's good. Breathing out. Yes. And one more time, breathing in. And breathing out. And now roll a little bit further onto the side. Oh, I have a real tight spot right there, so I'm going to stay right there. I'm picking my point. It's a little bit right there for me. Feel those areas that are tighter. Those are the areas you want to really spend time with, get to know them. And look at this, sinking in my knees. I can get my knees to go even higher because it's releasing that grippy area. So nice breath in here, pressing into the ball, breathing out, letting the knee drop. Whoa, lovely. Breathing in. And breathing out, letting the knee drop, letting the joints soften. Feel if you can how to let go of all that tension in the glute. One more time, breathing in. Breathing out. Now, let's bring the knee up, wherever feels good for you. I'm rolling a little bit more out, heading towards that greater trochanter, the bulging part of the thigh bone. Whoa, I can feel myself pushing into the bone. A little bit, I'm above the bone. I want to get, so I'm almost on my side, but not quite. And it's pushing and widening the thigh bone, giving it space. So breathing in. Pressing the knees up and together if you can, and breathing out, relaxing the socket, relaxing the joint, letting the knee open. Breathing in, sinking into the ball, breathing out. And again, breathing in. And breathing out into the ball, softening and relaxing everything. Now you lift the knee and roll a little bit further onto the side, right into that fibrous area. And can you go? So now you're actually out of the socket and go down and you just visit that bone where everything's attached. And let's just do one last in and out. It's going to be different because now we're into the bone or just above it. Just kind of stimulating all of those areas where it attaches. It starts at the insertion and then it attaches. Like, forgive me if I'm saying it wrong if you're into anatomy. There's attachment and insertion, and I can never remember which one is the kind of beginning and which one is the end. Dyslexic. And out. Wonderful. So you roll over the bone if you can, just to stimulate where they finish, a little bit down to lengthen the bone down. Just feel that movement. And then lie down on your back, get off the ball, see what everything feels like. Nice and long. And just rock your knees in and out just to feel the sensation of what's happened in here. Wonderful. Sure feels nice. So next one, We can work with the black ball or the bigger ball. Either ball is good. So we're just going to be lifting our glutes up off the sit bone. The sit bone is this little area. So what can happen with those big muscles we just worked a few minutes ago, that whole syndrome of a dropped butt, means that all of the, first of all, some of the muscles atrophy. Very often a medius and a lot of them, it doesn't even matter what atrophies, but they get sluggish as we get older. You look at older people and they don't have butt muscles anymore. And they have it all dropped down. So literally the flesh has pulled down and now it's gotten all stuck on this bone. It does nothing to do to support the back. And so then they just kind of hump over because they got no support. So what we want to do is start to break up those adhesions and get all of this lifting back up so it goes where it belongs. So you can choose which ball to use, but I'm going to go with my silver ball. And when I roll to the side again, pull the flesh of the buttock out and see if you can, before you actually roll up, regardless of the ball, can you create even more separation between the two sit bones? And I'm also manually slightly encouraging the glutes to pull away from the hamstrings, because that's literally what happens. They go down and then they get stuck on the hamstring. They're basically in the wrong place now. So we want to get them back where they belong and they can have a real life. So now up on the bone, nice and lifted. Take a breath in, lifting up. And now you want to, I'm starting with my leg straight, but as I roll forward, I bend it and I push into my glute muscle to press and lift it off the sit bone and off the hamstring. Just rolling down and forward. So you want to feel that pressure. And then roll back to the top. And now roll a little bit forward into your hamstring. So you're asking, and you can literally reach under and pull the flesh up. And you may feel a lot of stuff. You may feel nothing, but that's what you're trying to do. Get space right between the glute and the hamstring. Get those hamstrings longer. And again, here we go. Lifting our bottom way up. You can roll all the way to the top of the pelvis. Can feel very nice, like a massage. Oh, yes. And then roll back, lifting up, and then roll backwards. And let's grab all of that flesh and sink into the ball. And again, lifting, grabbing all of that tissue, and very slowly rolling back, lifting the glute, lengthening the leg out or not bent. It doesn't matter. You want that glute being told, hey, get back up there where you belong. You're going to have much more fun. And then up and widening the sit bones apart from each other at the same time. Forward into that tendon. Seeing if you can just feel it. An area of a lot of congestion for all of us. Just bend over for a minute. If you want to pull everything away at the same time, do so. And then roll down. And again, just sitting. See what you feel like. I'm hoping you're starting to feel really grounded in your pelvis. Your butt is where the butt belongs. Your legs are where the legs belong. And if you look at little children, when they sit, they're just kind of plump there, happy with their cute little behinds behind them, not under them. If you look at adults, they're all, the bottom's underneath and they're fallen over. So it's time for us to claim our youthfulness back. So here we go, other side to other leg. Roll to the side. Grab the flesh of your butt sideways. And then see if you can get a sense of widening the sit bone away and then come right up on that ball. And just be nice and tall. And Sarah, I'm pitching for you because I know you got a hard ball. So I know you can do it. There's still very much benefits always are there. So all good. But I'm like, whoa, she's just going through a lot. So big breath in, breathing out. As you breathe out, remember you're sinking the bone down. Some of you, this may be easier for you. That's fine. You need the downward pressure. Breathing in, breathing out. If you have more mobility and flexibility, you just lift a little bit. And one more time, breathing in, breathing out into the ball. And now slowly lift your bottom up. Literally imagine you're gripping it. Use the ball to traction the flesh of the bottom away from your sit bone. And just roll through the whole glute. Stimulate, go up. Right. And then come back up, nice and tall. See if you can feel that sit bone and roll backwards into this hamstring tendon. If you are really eager, you can put pressure into it. Those tendons get really tight. Short hamstrings are very much right the area starts right in this congestion. You can pull all the flesh away from the tendon. Again, come up. I'm lifting my butt just manually to help me get there. And lifting your bottom up. Rolling through. Going all the way to the top. This is like a lovely, lovely massage. And then coming back, lifting that body right up so you feel the bone down. Down, 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 and forward. Into the tendon of the hamstring. And again, lifting up. And rolling back. Get that bottom to lift. Dragging it back up, massaging it upwards, just stimulating all of that tissue so it fluffs up and plumps up and gets back to life. And then come back up and forward into your tendon. If you've got the flexibility and you can kind of pull your tissue back, do so and see how much you can relax into the ball. Roll down and just sit here for a minute and see what you feel like. Nice pelvis. How do your legs feel on the ground? How does your posture feel? Sometimes when we relieve all of this area, suddenly the spine just plops up without effort. We don't have to kind of hold and strain to be vertical. The bones are just stacked because we've gotten things back, the building blocks from below set up, which is delightful. Now, black ball, smaller ball. This one is just a very micro movement area. So remember we have these two sit bones that are going down at the base of the pelvis. As the different parts of our anatomy start to get tight and rigidified and more stuck together with adhesions, those bones get more glued in. Of course, the glutes are going down and pulling them downwards. So we want, again, that platform of nice width. So we're actually going to sit on the black ball with the ball between those two bones. If you've never done it before, it's bizarre because you're taking a structure and you're pulling it apart. It's right on your perineum or pelvic floor area. And be sensitive to your tailbone. You don't want pressure into the tailbone. The tailbone is not, if I'm sitting, the two bones are here and the tailbone is higher up. So remember, it's like the tailbone is here and the ball is going to be here if I was to kind of visually check into it. We want that area to be nice and wide. Can be sensitive if you've never done this before. It's so healing. You can have lots of gunky, weird stuff. We've all got a lot of congestion in this area. So you can roll to one side, get the ball in. Again, I encourage you to grab the flesh of your anatomy right by the sit bones and pull it sideways. Before you roll onto the ball, how much can you widen that area? And then very carefully get your hands to support you. Come on up and see if you can sit in that area. If it's a lot, you'll just hike yourself up so you get an ability to feel this. And then see if you can sink down and spread that area a little bit. Breathing in. I think there's only females today, so you will feel it literally also pressing into the area of your vagina. And you just want all of that widening and releasing. And again, breathing in. Breathing out, separating out those bones, and it's micro movement. I'm bringing my bottom forward, so it's lifting, it's moving towards the tailbone, but it's not there, and it's starting to lift the tailbone up again. Again, we can fall, all sorts of things. We can have babies. All sorts of stuff can happen to those bony structures down there. We have a sexual life. I mean, it's massive, and no one ever gets in there, and now you're doing it to yourself. Then you walk a little tiny bit forward, and you'll feel where the bones come together and become the pubic bone. Rocking back a little bit. If the ball is soft enough, and after the first shock of what you're doing, it can be comfortable. In fact, I have a secret to tell you. I sometimes have a ball in my car, and when I'm driving long distances, I sit on the ball. It's mildly deflated. I feel so much better when I stand up, and I feel it actually is a great little hack for how to not have driving and sitting for long periods of time completely trash your pelvic area. So just gentle movement backwards and forwards like this. This is where a deflated ball and a softer ball is so much easier. Find the place and very slightly side to side, imagining this ball pushing the sit bone out. So you're just going from side to side, asking the sit bone to press. Those of you with a yoga practice, there is a pose in yoga, very interesting, where you sit on your heel and your leg is bent to the side, the other leg is in front. In Ashtanga yoga, it's part of their primary series, actually. And again, it's stimulating and opening up that base channel. So this is your root chakra. This is right where the tail and the pelvic floor start. This is where the base of energy grounded is activated. This is also center for sexual energy. So this area's got a lot of life force in it, and kind of getting in touch with it is very good. Can be, again, a lot going on even emotionally. Again, just very slightly roll backwards. We're looking to widen the area. It's going to widen the sacrum, relieve sciatica, relieve so many back problems. If you can you bring your legs together and just relax them? See what it's like to sit like this. It can be quite a revelation of sorts. And then just for fun, let's take the legs the other way. If you need a break, get off the ball. There's no need to rush any of this. You can repeat it later because it's intense. It can be intense. Later, it can be very healing. Just healing. You feel good doing it, and the body lets go of tension. And then come off the ball and just sit for a minute and let the energy kind of dissipate. See what your pelvis feels like. And now we still have a little more to do, but I would like all of you to stand up. So just come to a standing position and see what it feels like to stand, because you've done so much in this whole pelvic area. You probably, I'm hoping, just have a slightly different experience. And let's just walk a little bit and just feel. Feel if your hips feel any difference, if your balance feels different. Your range of movement feels different. No big, bells and whistles, but it's always good to kind of check in. And then when you're ready, come down. And a little commentary as you start to open your body if you have a practice of any kind, yoga, Pilates. Sarah used to do a lot of circus work. What happens is when your joints really change, it's almost like you've got a different body, a better body, but you have to learn to drive it. So if you had really tight hips and now you suddenly have looser hips, you have to figure out how to make those loose hips work and how to kind of have your balance. So most people just walk and sit and have normal lives, but most of my people are into the bizarre, extraordinary. So I just invite you all to pay attention to your body the rest of the day. Pretty wonderful. Let's do a little bit more into the hip rotators, because the hip rotators allow the legs to go in and out, so they free up this whole bone of your leg in the socket, and they free the leg up from the hips. So very, very useful place. So let's start. We're going to, again, start on the sit bone and have the leg that you're sitting on out. And we're going to go from the sit bone towards your greater trochanter. It's the same journey because this is addressing the rotator muscle, just a different variation. And now roll a little bit off so you're on your elbow. So you're nice and long. You're sinking into the ball. The other leg is your balancer leg. And this leg is long. So how much can you sink down? This is where I would be pumping my ball up a little bit because in this variation, I like more density. So first of all, just check the range of movement that's available with your thigh. With the ball, you're looking to release tension around the socket. And make sure that the leg actually, I'm just getting this out of the way so it doesn't affect the camera. You want to feel it long. Now you're going to lift the leg up and lengthen it out. Sink into the ball. So if you have to do this, do it. You want that tissue letting go. If you have more detail in your body, you can hold it long, but relax the glute. Lift more. See if you can lift more, and now slightly internally and externally rotate. Actually do full range of movement. Now, check you're looking at the movement in the joint. So some of us have very flexible feet and knees, and we get all this movement down there. We're looking at what can happen here. This is what you're looking at. Now imagine someone pulling the leg out and lowering it away from you, and sink into the ball even more because we tend to tighten. Roll a little bit more out. So here you are. You're kind of on the corner area, you could say. Down low. Lengthen the leg in just a few times. Roll the bone out. See if you can do it in a relaxed leg, but you still want a long leg. So it's like if I was my arm, I'm here. I'm not holding tight and trying to tighten the muscles, but I'm just looking to see what's the joint feel like. So you just get as much range of movement as you're able to. Check the sinking in, then lift the leg up. Sink into the ball and just move this leg. Are you still breathing? You're kind of skipping the breathing right now. Now take a breath in, lift the leg a little bit more, sink, breathe out and sink into the ball. Really let that tissue open, and again, move the knee or move the upper thigh. Really, we're looking at this hip socket. Move it in and out. Lengthen the leg. Imagine it's being pulled away from you. Lower the leg down and sink into the ball even more, letting that journey around the socket open. Go a little bit further onto your side, so almost onto the side of the pelvis. Move your thigh bone. Just feel what's available now. Can it rotate a little bit more now that we're journeying through the socket? Just literally all around that socket area. Lift the leg, lengthen it away. As you exhale, move the knee in and out. Inhale, lift a little more. This is where I can feel my muscles going like this. Exhale, soften. See if you can get in touch with releasing any resistance in the muscle. Good for it. And one more time, breathing in, lift a little higher. Sink into the ball. Just relax, and again, in and out. Rotating that leg. I can feel a little bit more opening up in my joint. This is wonderful. And then lengthen the leg way, way, way out, away from you. Imagine it's going and then rolling right onto the side, just above the bone, and pressing into the bone. So you lengthen it. You're lengthening all of those hip rotators. Oh, and pressing the femur bone, lengthening it out, making more space, and making opening up the distance because the bones can get jammed up and held here. So you want this nice length there. One last time. Can you push the bone away from you? Lift, rotate, not much movement for me. Press the bone long, lift a little more. See if there's any rotation. I don't have much in this position. And one more, lifting as high as you can go, attempting to get the leg to lift away from your pelvis and lower the leg down. Oh, so good. And roll forward to come off, so you massage that whole area. Wow, that was delicious for me. Coming onto the other side. Lift up, grab the flesh of the glute, and sit up on the ball so that you're wide. Take this leg, lengthen it out. Now, lean back and roll a little bit onto your side. So you're starting to get the side, you're into the glute area, down low. It's that line between the sit bone and your bone there. Rotate the leg. Sink into the ball, lengthen the leg, breathe in. As you breathe out, check that you're relaxing into the ball, and again, rotate. Loosening up the leg in the socket. Breathe in and breathe out. Lift and lengthen the leg a little bit more, rotating in and out. And now lengthen the leg out, sinking into the ball, getting a sense of a very long leg, rolling more to the side. Clunk, clunk, clunk. I got some tendons there that are talking to me. Awesome. So we're not exactly at the side, almost on the side, just below the exact sideline. And lengthening the leg, moving it in and out, attempting to soften and sink into that side muscle around the socket. Lifting the leg up, rotating it in and out. Breathing in, lifting. Breathing out, rotating. Oh, I got a lot of clicking noises going on. My tendons, I've always had that. I think I'm now down to the final program of whatever was going on, that's imbalances in my hips. I'm getting to iron them out. And breathing out, sinking down, having your legs nice and long, sinking into the ball, and now going almost to the side and a little bit down. You're grabbing the back part of your thigh bone, if you can, and lengthening it down. And here we go. Very long thigh bone, lifting, rotating. This side, the leg really rolls nicely, even though the ball is pressing. Lifting more, sinking in. And lifting a little bit more, lengthening it away. And lowering the leg down, sinking into that ball, and very slowly dragging the body up and the ball down to lengthen this thigh even more out. Really pull it out, lengthen it out. Oh, that feels so good. And then come off and lie back on your backs and lengthen your legs out and just feel the energy in your legs. I hope you feel a lot more length and release. And then come over to one side, and to finish, let's just roll up the spine just to free up the energy in the upper body. It allows everything to get integrated. The spinal column is the connection between the brain and the whole nervous system of the body. So it's a good place to constantly stimulate, make space, and energize. So bring your silver ball or a bigger ball if you've got one. right up close to the base of the spine. You probably can sit up a lot taller now. I'm going to come up here because I'm going to be moving down. And take a deep breath in and push and bring the ball in as close into the base as you possibly can. And as you breathe out, you pull your stomach towards your back a little bit, and then you press into the ball. So you're not relaxing into the ball, you're putting that pressure in and stimulating the sacrum and the tail and maybe up into the waist area just a little bit, but you want this nice support in the stomach. Breathe in, breathe out, pressing into the ball, imagining that the pressure is also helping create separations. I sometimes pull my rib cage away to get even more space happening. So now I have nice pressure into the ball. I'm lifting my tail, so I'm scooping just a little bit. I keep pressure into the ball and I roll down. So now it's in my waist area and bring the pelvis down, but I'm not just relaxed. I'm actually holding the whole front and pressing into the ball. So what it does is it creates this traction of the spine and widening of the spine, which we want, and the muscles around the spine. So breath in, breathe out, pressing into the ball, breathing in, breathing out. You're stimulating the bones and the tendons into the muscles all up and down the spinal column where your ball is in contact. One more time. Breathing out, nice pressure, lift, roll down a little bit. The ball's going up. Be sensitive if you have a harder ball around the floating rib area. You want to be sensitive to that. It's not attached. The bony structure is a little bit more malleable. Breathe in. So if you're not sure, keep yourself up. As you breathe out, just be sensitive to the type of pressure. Does it feel good or is it a lot? You don't want to press in hard. Breathing in, but you do want to pull your front into the front of the spine and then press down as a unit. So everything's kind of lifting and lowering as a unit, not as a flop. Now here we go, lift, roll up. So now you're off the floating ribs, you're in your bony structure. This is where I grab my head. Sometimes I'll even do this. One hand is kind of holding here, just for the comfort so I'm not straining my neck. Breathing in, breathing out. Now, as you go back and into the ball, the focus is the ribs going down, the stomach going down, and the pressure into the ball to create breath. It's not that. That's an inflation of the rib cage. You're just collapsing down. I'm holding it. So it's forcing the back to widen. Breathing in, breathing out, and then I want the back to be long, not arched. Breathing in, breathing out, lift your pelvis, roll up. So now I am about the middle of my shoulder blades, dropping my bottom down. So right here, it's nice to pull the elbows forward and you separate the shoulder blades apart. Then when you let the elbows come out again, don't crunch them together because we want a broad back, not, we're not squeezing them together. We want them, if possible, draped around the ball. So figure out where it works for you. Breath in, breathing out, press into the ball. This is where it's a lot tighter, more congestion. Breathing in, it's a bony structure. There's a reason for this. It's because it's protecting our lungs and heart. Pressing in, looking to get it softer though. Breathing in, I'm trying to get my computer and sitting life out of my upper body right now. Pressing out, widening, opening the chest, allowing the rib cage to decompress. Breathing in, lifting the pelvis, rolling up. So now it's towards the top of my shoulder blades, very close to my neck, lowering the pelvis down. Breathing in, breathing out, really pressing in. Actually, I'm lifting my bottom up to get more pressure into the ball. Breathing in, breathing out, really using my feet to help get pressure into the ball. I'm bringing my elbows forward to get more spine and rib cage available. One more time, breathing out and rolling up. I'm taking my elbows up so you can see, so the ball gets to my neck. This is where, again, a slightly softer ball is better. So it's forcing the curve of the neck just to be supported. You can adjust your chin. You want the pressure on the whole neck area if possible. So breathing in. And as you breathe out, press the neck into the ball because we get so tight in this area. So see if you can just press down. And if you want to add a quality, you can push your shoulders down to create more openness. Breathing in, breathing out, pressing in, stimulating the bone, the tendons, and the muscles, letting them wake up and energize. Breathing in, breathing out, and now lifting your pelvis one more time and rolling a little bit further forward so it's cradling the top, the neck. It gets into the base of the skull. If you grab your ball and push it up a little bit, you can create even more length in the back of the neck. The back of the neck gets very short. And bring your arms down. Once you have that nice, you should get a nice tractioning feeling in the back of the neck. And I'm wiggling my shoulders to the floor, and my chin is being shoved forward into my chest. So to get even more stretching here, with my hands moving towards my feet, I'm lifting my hips up and allowing the shape to really lengthen out the back of the neck. The shoulders are pulling away from the ears, and it's opening up that area and lowering the hips down. We'll do this 2 more times. Breathing in, lifting the hips, lengthening the neck, broadening and opening the shoulders right up at the top if you can get into that. Breathing out, rolling down, releasing everything. And one more time, breathing in, opening the shoulders, pressing up and broadening the collarbones. Breathing out, releasing. Just kind of feel that last moment of traction. And then reach up with one hand. Do this hand. You want to grab your own skull, lift it and get the ball out and put your head down. So you really, when the neck's been stretched like that, you don't want to rush into straining the neck. You want it just to kind of relax and feel very safe because it opened up a lot of holding patterns. And just for a minute, lengthen your legs out again. Feel your body. You should feel very long in the spine. Just feel whatever you're feeling. Truth is, I don't know. It's very unique. Just check in. And if things feel good, really acknowledge them, notice them, memorize those feelings. You want this part of your memory data bank of what feels good. We normally just focus on what feels bad, and we're very good at replicating those memories. But we want to replicate what feels good. What do we like? What do we enjoy? What is stimulating? What is positive? Because that's what we want to encourage more of into our life. So just take another moment here, enjoy the moment. And then when you're ready, bend your knees. With the help of your hands, turn to one side and use your hands to press yourself up so you don't strain anything. And thank you very much, everybody. I hope you had a journey of a lifetime in your own bottom. So I will close the recording.